Hello, it is I, Sebastian of Seb Rocks. Another year has come and gone, and within the end of something comes a reflection of the previous year. I was going to drop my best list in December, but I really wanted to see all the films that were in my list this year. 2022 was a dazzling year for films. There were the usual franchises, but there was also a plethora of original content that came out this year. It's crazy that after 2 years, cinema has been rolling along smoothly, and that there were as many great films as there were this year. Without further ado, I will showcase the films that hit me personally the most this year. Instead of a top 10, I'm actually going to do a top 15. Because there were that many good films this year. I even sadly had to make some cuts out of this list. However, every movie in this list is either an A or an A+. Without further ado, let's count down.
Bright light city, gonna set my soul, gonna set my soul on fire.
I'm going to tell you this right now, this was a very professional list that took a lot of time to write. But in terms of films that were just plain out fun, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 wins that trophy. Ben Schwartz absolutely kills the role of Sonic, and compared to the first film, Sonic 2 builds on the lore of Sonic and executes it in ways that I've never seen in a video game adaptation. This is how you please the fans. It was also pretty emotional, especially the themes of family and friendship too. Sonic 2 is better than the already great first movie, and I cannot wait for the third film. It will easily outgross Avatar 3 when it drops. Most definitely. Guillermo del Toro, along with a bunch of professionally talented artists and animators, worked for years to get this stop-motion adaptation of the Pinocchio story to life. I love this film especially not only for its different take on the story, but also because it was not afraid to get dark in some scenes. It's set in the context of fascist Italy. I'm not kidding, it adds like an extra layer to the story. I was so emotionally taken aback from this film, and towards the end, my eyes were not dry. See this film if you haven't. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is a solid continuation of the first movie. I cannot even imagine the pressure that was put on director Ryan Coogler and everybody else in the production that had to not only deal with the death of Chadwick Boseman, but also had to rewrite the entire film to accompany his passing, but also build a groundwork for the sequel and how it places itself in a massively established universe. It was hard to do, but they managed to pull it off. Everybody in the cast gives their all, and there's a really strong emotional core with Shuri's character, and also Namor's character. There are a few things that the first Black Panther did better, but in terms of achieving emotion and overall impact, this film absolutely excels. Oh, this next film. Till is an absolutely devastating account of the real-life tragedy of Emmett Till. This film does not show the actual abuse or even violence towards black people, but this film banks on the raw emotion of the event and how it shapes the characters, especially the mother of Emmett, Marie Till. This film is somber, but it is hopeful also. It is also a massively well-directed movie. Every shot is well condensed, and the things that they do with specific objects is very impressive. Like the thing that they do with mirrors in this movie I thought was really well done. These kinds of traumatic films are very devastating, but they are extremely important. I will be honest, I have never heard of this story till now, and I'm disappointed for not hearing it sooner. Till is masterful and will not leave the head of the viewer that sees it. Barbarian is a film that I highly recommend that you know as little as possible before you see it. The story here is about a woman who checks into an Airbnb and bad shit happens. Ooh. This movie took me for a ride throughout, twist after twist. In terms of story structure and pacing, this is a film I truly admire. Definitely see it and definitely do not get spoiled. Number 10 is Top Gun Maverick. That's how good this is. Being the most popular film of the year, Top Gun: The Second was a pleasant surprise this year, especially compared to the original, which was okay to me, but the sequel definitely is a shiny makeover, taking the most essential parts of character building and storytelling to make a film that we usually don't get as often anymore. The production and the stunts aside are absolutely crazy. I don't see anyone other than Tom Cruise doing what he's doing on set. Have you seen what he's doing on the next Mission Impossible?
Pretty much the biggest stunt in cinema history. Tom Cruise just rode a motorcycle off a cliff 6 times today.
What?
Oh my goodness. Wait, what do you plan for the next Mission Impossible after this? What, he's going into space? Oh wait, that's an actual film that's happening. Kind of. Oh boy. This film was originally not going to make this list, but then I rewatched it again in theaters, this time in IMAX, and that shit was awesome. That bumped it up to the top 10, like instantly. If there is anything that is proven in 2022, Tom Cruise can do about literally anything. Top Gun Maverick is nothing short of spectacular. Jordan Peele's latest film is a very ambitious one in the way that it is many different things. An intellectual study on filmmaking, while also being a commentary on fame, and also being a sci-fi with a hint of horror. These combinations are actually really well done here. The first time I saw this film, I liked it, but the second time I saw it, I resonated with the themes of this movie a lot better. The cast was phenomenal, especially Keke Palmer, who has so much talent. And Daniel Kaluuya is also great as well. Just as it is described in the film, Nope is a spectacle that you can't take your eyes off of.
A little hungry one, open up a package of my bologna.
Weird, the Al Yankovic Story is also another film that I highly recommend that you watch without knowing too much. This film is the real, untold true story of Weird Al Yankovic, the guy that defined the parody song. He is very talented, check him out. In terms of this biopic, I gotta say it's Solo's old biopics. It is very goofy, funny, and just a good time. In terms of a film that used comedy to its utmost advantage story-wise, this film wins the medal. Babylon came out in December with really mixed and polarizing reactions. I am not one of those reactions. Babylon is a film that spoke to me as an aspiring creator/filmmaker, but I think it works even as a Tarantino-esque comedic drama. Think of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but if it snorted like 10 lines of coke. This film is definitely not for the faint-hearted. Diego Calva is great alongside Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt. The cinematography is probably some of the best I've seen this year, and I'm emotionally resonated with the story at play here, which is both a love letter and a hate letter to Hollywood. I absolutely loved it. Two sequels came out in December. I recently got the chance to see both of them, but while one is a technical achievement, another one is an achievement within its own franchise, in the way that it is spec-fucking-tacular.
Your favorite fearless hero? Who is your favorite fearless hero?
Puss in Boots 2 is an amazing sequel. It not only builds on the foundation of the Shrek franchise, but it gives so much development to Puss, Kitty Softpaws, and even a whole array of new characters, especially Perito. The animation is so fluid and full of life. The themes revolving around death and mortality was massively poetic, especially the wolf character. Anytime this dude came in, it was his film. I cannot withstand enough how much this film surpassed my expectations, and I do have to say, yeah, it is better than the first one. Don't get me wrong, the first one is good, but it's very simple. The sequel is more complex and emotional in its themes, and it's also one hell of a good time too. If you haven't seen it, definitely do. Like it's Puss in Boots 2. Bones and All is probably the most squeamish film of the year about a person who has a specific taste who meets another person who has a specific taste also, in which they both have to survive alongside their differences. Okay, it's about these two cannibals that go on this road trip alongside 1980s Midwest America. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, there is a deeper meaning within this premise, but this film is such a deeply resonant film on belonging and love. Timothy Chalamet and Taylor Russell are fantastic, and Mark Rylance gives a terrifying performance here. I love this film so much more than I realized, and I think it's a fresh new dive to the horror genre.
Think is that I love you.
You remember the scene in Ratatouille in where Anton Ego eats that dish and gets transported to his childhood, thus being a symbol of him being reminded of a better time? Well, him sort of reacting to that is how I reacted to the fine dish that is The Menu, directed by Mark Mylod. The Menu is a great concept that has all the right ingredients, like the performances of the characters, the biting cinematography, the spicy commentary, and the very well done twists and turns. Ralph Fiennes is stellar, Anya Taylor-Joy gives a different kind of performance here, and Nicholas Hoult is a standout also, even with him and his bullshit. For The Menu, I give this a good review on Yelp, and I definitely recommend everybody to try.
It's okay.
No, we're gonna die tonight.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Out of all the comic book projects that came out this year, The Batman is the most impressive, most immersive, and most thought-provoking comic book film that came out this year. I am so compelled by Bruce Wayne's story and the character study of the Riddler, played effortlessly by Paul Dano. Everyone in this cast shines, the action is immaculately done, everything fits together in what is probably my favorite Batman movie. Talk about a film that changed cinema in 2022. Everything Everywhere All at Once has one of my favorite screenplays of the year, and just from the editing, effects, and directing alone, it still has me like, how the hell did they do half of this shit? Michelle Yeoh finally gets the recognition that she deserves. Ke-Huy Quan gets the greatest return that he could ever have in his career, and Stephanie Hsu has a big, bright future ahead of her. The themes and emotions that this film dives into is phenomenal. This film deserves all the hype it gets. Well, here we finally are, my favorite film of the year. My favorite film is something that definitely hit me, but more than that, it gave me a touching story about chasing after your dreams. It is my favorite biopic, in which it's not even really a biopic. And it all came from one of the most iconic directors of all time. The Fabelmans is from director Steven Spielberg, which created some of the most iconic films of all time, in which this film specifically is about a young boy named Sammy, who lives his childhood and adolescent years as he develops his craft and his dream to be a filmmaker. It's kind of like a biopic of Steven Spielberg himself, but not exactly. Whatever you say, Steven. The reason why this film spoke to me so much, however, is that I understood Sammy and his ambition of following his dreams, and working with his friends and family to create good movies, and also his relationships and different people in which he encounters in the story. Even if you don't aspire to be a filmmaker, this is still a very emotional and very resonant film to watch. I knew this was going to be good when I saw the trailer, but it was more resonant than I ever expected. This is my favorite film of the year.
What was your favorite part?
Since this video is long enough, I'm going to mention my honorable mentions, aka the other films that I really liked this year, and also the other ones that didn't make this list. The Whale. Brendan Fraser is a national treasure. RRR. Talk about a spectacle. God damn. Avatar: The Way of Water, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, Turning Red. Gotta appreciate a film that pisses parents off. Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Dragon Ball Super Broly was still better, but for being the first Dragon Ball film that I ever saw in theaters, I will fully treasure this film. Wendell and Wild, Minions: The Rise of Gru, I Count Money. Actually, all jokes aside, I think 2022 was the year that we probably turned back around on Minions. I think the world kind of likes Minions again, actually. I think after like 2020 and 2021, I think the whole world just kind of realized we just kind of need a film like this. And that's kind of what I treasure Minions: The Rise of Gru for. So yeah, pretty good movie. We Met in Virtual Reality. Yeah, not kidding. She Said, I definitely was more emotionally attached to this film than I thought. And also other mentions to Elvis, Bodies, 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 Kimmy, The Black Phone, X, Pearl, The Northman, The Banshees of Inisherin, Bullet Train, Marcel the Shell with the Shoes On, Tar, Scream 2022, Smile, The Bad Guys, The Bob's Burgers Movie, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Prey, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Strange World, and Matilda the Musical. So yeah, that ends this video. So long to 2022. Have a great 2023, everybody. And remember, movies are important. Experiences are important. Art is important. Thank you, and good night.
Intriguing.